It's Sunday and it's a beautiful fall day out, perfect to have a Sunday with Stan. And so I want to talk about people today. Done a lot of coverage of the election. I think today we should talk about three people that made the news this week, and they all stand for different things that are very, very worth talking about. First, I want to talk about Christie. He had a moment at a press conference today where he dealt with a heckler of some kind, held up a sign. There's some issues about the amount of money that's been dispersed to various people for Sandy relief funds. And Governor Christie reacted in a way that a lot of people over the years have found amusing. It's kind of his trademark where some people would call it bullying. He told the guy to shut up and sit down and stop flapping his jaws and all these various, very New Jersey-like ways of telling people that you're annoyed. But, and of course, Mr. Christie is a Republican like I am, but he's not a Republican like I am. I don't think that that's the leadership that we want to put forward, and it's not a one-time gaffe. This is what he believes is leadership. That's not the way leaders talk, and it's not going to lead to a type of dialogue or a mentality that's going to be successful for the conservative movement or the Republican Party in the future. I don't envision a change that would be sincere, because I think that is really who he is. And that's not something, frankly, I feel bad for the folks of New Jersey that they have to have a leader that treats people that way. And I certainly think that looking 2 years ahead to the presidential election, that's something that we could rule out for our future, hopefully. I also would caution people on the political left. It so happens that Mr. Christie is a Republican, but this is not the way we want a leader, if they're a Democrat, to behave any more than we would want a Republican. This is not worthy of being in American politics. So I want to start with, we could call it the loser of the week, which is Christie on the Republican side. There was another loser in the week that actually topped Christie's very unprofessional behavior, and that was Hillary Clinton. And so Hillary Clinton definitely has the capacity to do even more damage than a Christie to what we think of as American leadership. Hillary Clinton made a statement last week that jobs are not created by corporations and businesses. And Hillary Clinton, we've known her now, she's been in politics for like 40 years or something like that. So the Clintons aren't a mystery, but she never fails when given no speech and she goes off the reservation and just starts saying what's really on her mind. And I use that term, on her mind, somewhat loosely, because it seems to be this vacuous place that just has these bizarre ideas that can just come out, like the idea that businesses, and remember, I'm a small businessman here in Main Street, USA, that we don't create jobs. Or maybe the larger companies that sell us our products, they don't create jobs. So I asked, the former senator and secretary of state and first lady, who creates jobs? If it's not us, who? The implication is the government somehow creates jobs. And it's true that the government or the public sector does employ millions of people. I think a few million too many. But I want to put this in perspective for Mrs. Clinton and anyone who's thinking of voting for her. And that is that the private sector potential labor force is well over 100 million people. The public sector currently employs about 23 million people. If you put it all together, the potential labor force in America is a little over 150 million people, okay? The problem we have today is that we have the smallest labor force participation rate that we've had in since 1978. But let's just take the number we have. We have private jobs and we have public jobs. That's about 20 plus million in public, and 70 million in private. So you tell me, Mrs. Clinton and those who support Mrs. Clinton, if we don't create jobs here in the private sector, why is it we employ about 4 times more than the public sector? Okay, so the 2 biggest losers of the week have to be Christie and Hillary Clinton, both of whom people are already talking about before we've even had a midterm election, being running for president. And I hope for both parties' sake that these names will not be names that we have to consider voting for in the future. They have long histories of both of their respective behaviors and bizarre ideas about governance. And I don't think that they're going to change. And if they say anything different, let's face it, they're just saying it to get our vote. They don't really mean it. We've seen them in action. The third person I want to talk about this week, very few people have heard of. His name is Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer is an enormous contributor to liberal causes. He's a multi-billionaire. He was actually born rich, and he went on to make even more billions of dollars with a hedge fund in San Francisco. And Mr. Steyer made a great deal of his billions of dollars that his $20+ billion hedge fund manages in investing in oil and coal and things that liberals, and including Mr. Steyer, don't call clean energy. He's made billions, okay? I personally am a big fan of taking care of the environment and green energy. But like most small businessmen, we have one little hiccup, and that is we can't afford the implementation of it. So Mr. Steyer has put, in this election alone, $50 million of his own money into supporting candidates that are opposed to something called the Keystone XL pipeline. It would go through the Midwest, it would create a lot of jobs, it would be good for the continuation of the energy boom in terms of traditional energy. But what's really interesting is, besides the fact that Mr. Steyer has put millions into opposing candidates that are for Keystone, and of course supporting people who would stop it, that part of the billions he's made in energy are as an investment into a competing company that wants their pipeline to be in place of the Keystone pipeline, for instance. Not exactly the same route, but the same idea, okay? So what I would like to suggest to Mr. Steyer, and I don't want to be adversarial because I don't know the man's heart. I think that he's made a lot of money in traditional energy, and I think that maybe he, like most of us, sees that there is better ways that we can produce energy and might be better for the planet. But let me say this to you, Mr. Steyer, and other people like you in your billionaire class. The tens of millions and hundreds of millions you're spending supporting people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, that's not putting solar energy on our roof here in Kansas. So this is my challenge to you, and I hope you see this video. I hope somebody out there gets a hold of Tom Steyer and says, hey, look at this. You got a challenge. Instead of spending millions and millions of dollars on the next campaign, like you just did on this one, why don't you come here and help us change our town and our businesses to be green? We need all of the above. We need to be able to have weatherproof windows. We need not just that we need solar, but before we put solar on, we need new roofs. These are the practical things that we have to do. Your money could actually make a change, a real change right now, right here in Little Winfield, Kansas. So, I'm not calling Tom Steyer out as a winner or as a loser. I'm calling him out as a maybe. And maybe him and his other wealthy friends that care about the environment can rethink what they're doing, shift their paradigm, forget about the politics for at least a couple years. Bring your money to the people that need it. We're not asking for a gift. You can lend it to us. We'll pay you back. We'll pay you back out of what we save. Give us a no-interest loan. Come here, do some good. But please stop trying to influence energy policy in states that you know nothing about, because all you're doing is making energy unaffordable for us and putting us out of business. So that's this Sunday with Stan. So I will see you next Sunday.